It's the movie that changed my life, the movie that made it right, the movie that gave me fight, the movie that held me tight, the movie that changed my life.
Hey everyone, welcome to the movie that changed my life. I'm Mickey, and joining me today is Bill and our guest Glenn. Here's where we talk about those movies. You know, the ones that don't just entertain us, they change something in us, change how we see the world, change how we see life, maybe even change how we see ourselves. You know, we've all got the one. Sometimes, you know, it's a cult classic. Sometimes it's a masterpiece. Sometimes it's something that not a lot of people have seen. And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, because this isn't a movie review show. This is a show about how movies shape who we are and how we live our lives. And today we have Glenn. Bill, tell us about Glenn.
Today, our guest is Glenn Kleczkowski. He's hailing from Mount Arlington, New Jersey. Never heard of that state. He's a writer, producer, and he's been entrenched in the motion picture industry for over 25 years, even though he's 19. He worked on such films as Independence Day, Oh Brother, We're Out There, Spy Game, The X-Files, Fight for the Future, Bring It On, Airforce One, Get Off My Plane, and Ladder 49. In the television industry, Glenn produced Agent X for TNT, Yellowstone for Fox Nation, Yellowstone 150 for Fox Nation, as well as being part of Kevin Costner's producing team on Paramount Network's #1 drama Yellowstone. Most recently, Glenn served as a co-producer on Kevin Costner's 2-part Western Horizon, an American Saga, and produced the forthcoming punk rock drama Out Come the Wolves, which you can see the trailer online. And welcome to the show, Glenn.
All right, thanks for having me.
Wow. That's the longest intro resume, in every part of it was impressive.
I'm kind of...
How did Doc Hollywood get you to that introduction? That's crazy.
Yeah, look, you know, it's interesting, but I appreciate you guys having me on. This is fun, and I enjoy watching your show. You know, when Bill asked me, it's like, boy, there's so many you could choose, right? But, you know, and so I didn't want to go, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, look, I really wanted to say Despicable Me because I have the fart gun, and that changed my life. But yeah, but you know, Doc Hollywood is a dark horse for me. You know, Michael J. Fox, whom I love, and always have loved Family Ties when I was a kid. You know, avid TV watcher. But it's a movie that snuck up on me because of the time in my life where I was. You know, I was just out of high school.
And tell us about that time. Tell us who you were before you saw it.
And where did you see it? In the movie theater?
No, it's a good thing. So, look, I've always, I was a little bit of a jock, but I hosted our high school senior show. I was a big David Letterman fan. You know, at the time, I taped Letterman. I watched Letterman every single morning or afternoon when I got back from high school. Every episode, Late Night with David Letterman. So he was a huge influence in my life comedically. And we had our senior show, and the theme of it was late night. So I'm not one to get up in front of people. I wasn't in drama classes. I have a low threshold for embarrassment. So, but when it was late night, I was like, well, I got to try out for this. So I did. I did a top 10 list, and I got the gig. So
do you remember what that top 10 list was?
Top 10 reasons why Roxbury High School teachers love polyester. I think the number one reason was $1.29 a yard.
Pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. Well, look, I'd studied Letterman, right? So that's who I was. I was a guy who, you know, was a frustrated athlete because I wasn't very good at sports. I love to play them, but, you know, I was a second stringer at best, you know. So I really immersed myself in film and television. Every My birthday is July 20th, and July 19th, from as far back as I could remember, I would kind of start my birthday celebration by going and seeing a movie. So movies have always been a giant part of my life, and something that I love. So, you know, that's who I was then, a kind of frustrated jock and a guy who loved movies and television. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought maybe like lawyer sounded interesting, but I didn't know if I was smart enough. And then I'd say, oh man, you got to go to school for this. I don't know if I want to do that, you know, that long. So I didn't really have a direction.
Right.
You know?
And what year is this, Glenn?
This is like this is 89, 90, and 91. It's like those years. You know, but I graduated in 89.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you are what, 16, 17, 18 in those 3 years?
Yeah, I graduated in 89 from Roxbury.
Okay, I graduated in 90. Right on.
Yeah. So I was 17.
All right, so 17. And tell me about this place in Jersey. Because I want to, like, is there any correlation to what was in the movie in any way? Like, where were you from in Jersey?
Well, I'm originally from Brooklyn, Greenpoint. I'm the last in my family born at Queens Hospital, and my parents moved us. I've got 2 older brothers and 1 younger. And, you know, my dad didn't want us going to the PS system in New York. He wanted a better life for us. You know, not that there was anything wrong with it. He had gone to it. And I think you know, the same reason why I live in Ventura. I want my kids to be able to skateboard and ride their bikes as opposed to living in LA where it's harder to do that. So it was a small town, man. Mount Arlington, New Jersey is what was. It's now grown like everywhere else. You know, it's expanded. But it was a small town that was, you know, kind of on like a part of this great big lake, Lake Hopatcom. And my father bought a boat. And he became an avid boater. We'd go out every weekend on the lake, and we had all these friends who had boats. So it was always, you know, we tie up together, and all the kids were there. Everyone had kids. So, you know, Mount Arlington was a sleepy, sweet little town. That, yeah, you know what? I've never ever thought about it, but yeah, it is a little bit like the town in Dock Hollywood, only because the main street was like, I don't know, 1/10 of a mile long with stuff. There's like a Quick Check and Pat's Bar and the post office and the Catholic school I went to, and then the library, and then that was it. And
was there any Julie Warner swimming naked in your town?
Was there any what?
Julie Warner's swimming naked in your town?
No. Damn it, no.
Okay.
No.
I wouldn't have left either.
Scene that is. Holy macaroni. She's beautiful.
So so what? Damn it! Never mind. Bill took me out.
I took him off.
Damn it, Bill.
So, okay. So, how did you come across this movie on VHS? You said you didn't.
Was this a birthday movie? Was this a July 19th birthday movie? Okay.
No. You know, and it's surprising because I've recently watched it again because I knew we were doing this. But it is a movie that I've answered the question. You know, was there any movie? Yeah, I got to know Harrison Ford pretty well. Yeah, I mean, not like buddies, but like we knew each other, and we were really friendly with each other because we did Airforce One, we did Firewall, and I told him, and it's the truth. We were together in the kitchen where I worked at one point, and I just said, hey, I just want to thank you because you were a huge influence in me coming out here. So there's a lot of influences, but Doc Hollywood in particular. For the following reason. I was, so at this time, frustrated athlete, love entertainment, would love to work for Letterman or SNL, but there was no, I don't know, how do you do that in New York? And the competition and the business wasn't there then the way it is today. So I had this girlfriend, probably my first love. And I mean, loved her. She's a wonderful girl. And she dumped me for some guy who looked like Vanilla Ice. Quite frankly,
can you blame her? Can you blame her?
No, but at the time it felt like insult to injury.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he would do Vanilla Ice dance moves too. Like at parties, he would do that. It was like his thing, and I was kind of like, oh man. So I was really. That's my John Cusack moment where the guy's like the coolest guy in the room because he can kind of do the Vanilla Ice dance, and he's wearing the Cavariccis, and I'm standing on the sideline going like. She left him for me, but I guess I get it. Look at those moves. They're sizzling.
I bet you did not see Cool as Ice. I bet you couldn't. It's too triggering.
No, way too triggering. And
Yeah.
and the idea that look, Ice Ice Baby and the sampling of, the
Under Pressure.
yes, great song, both of them. And then I was like, I hate that song. So it ruined.
You've been against Vanilla Ice ever since.
Yes. No, but I'm all for him and his construction company now. I support him.
Now, the guy that stole your girlfriend, did he say, ditch the hero, ditch the zero, get with a hero? Did he use that line?
Maybe. I don't know.
Can't
But
believe that's a deep vault, Bill.
yes, it is. I was devastated. And that's, I was, it was the first heartache, and I don't know how anyone else reacts. I just know how I reacted. It wasn't well. It wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's something we can all relate to. Like, we all remember that first heartbreak. That's a monumental moment. And is that where you were when you saw this movie?
So no, where I was a guy who was crying all the time. Alone.
No. Oh yeah. You were in the middle of a heartbreak. That's what I mean by where you were.
Yeah.
So you were in the middle of a heartbreak when this happened.
Yes.
And you totally missed the movie in the theater. It didn't do super well in the theater. I think it came out like in August.
It didn't register at all with me.
Yeah.
So
so you saw it, but it didn't register. You were just like, okay, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I like Michael J. Fox. I was probably aware of it, but I didn't, I wasn't motivated to go to the theater.
I think it opened the third. I think it was like a blip, like the hard way. It didn't do anything, Maybe 40.
Go easy on the hard way.
No, I love the hard way.
It's a great movie. James Woods is fantastic.
I love that movie. I will defend that to the day is long, Glenn.
It's so good. So in my desperation to escape thinking about her and my heartache, I drove to a Blockbuster and I went in to get probably a better movie than Doc Hollywood. But it wasn't my intention to get Doc Hollywood, but there was nothing there on the shelves. Like you remember, you go into Blockbuster and you're like, oh, I can't believe every
all the good stuff everyone's already cleaned out.
Yeah.
You got to go into the deep cuts.
Yes. And Doc Hollywood was like the best of what was remaining, or at least something that I went, all right, Michael J. Fox, I like him.
Right.
So I guess I'll grab this. And I brought it to my parents' house where I lived. And downstairs, my father had a pool table and like a room that was finished. And like a couple of chairs and an end table and a TV and a VCR. So I put the movie in, pressed play, and for an hour and 25 minutes or whatever it is, an hour and a half, I didn't think about her, despite what goes on in the movie. Watching it recently, I was like, wow, I can't believe you didn't think about her. But I didn't think about the girl who had broken my heart. I escaped. And I only realized it when the end credits started, when they're walking down the street and they're talking and the credits start to roll up. And I kind of was like, oh, it's over. It was kind of a short movie. I was like, oh. Then I went, oh, man, you haven't thought about her this entire time. And then I thought, wow, this movie did, like, I'm going to love this movie for the rest of my life because it distracted me in a time when I really needed to be distracted. And then I thought, boy, every July 19th, you've gone to a movie. Boy, you love David Letterman. You love Miami Vice. You love Lethal Weapon. You love Die Hard. I found that movies were a giant part of my life. And the realization, it dawned upon, like this whole thing dawned on me during the end credits. I'm thinking about this. And again, I'm still not thinking about her. I'm thinking about, taking stock and inventory in my life. And I kind of went, you know what? I want to do that. Because when I was sad, watching a movie helped me feel a little better. And when I'm looking to celebrate something, I would always go see a movie, like my birthday. I would start the celebration by going to see a movie. So that was the moment, literally. That's why Doc Hollywood's so important to me. That's the moment when I said, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna be a part of it. I'm not gonna wear the round sunglasses and drive. I know, me too. I wish they looked good on me. That was it, and that's why that movie. That's why I chose it, because I don't know that I would have come out here in the time that I did. Maybe I would have, maybe a little later. Maybe I would have had this realization later. But that movie helped me realize, oh, this is part of your DNA. and I want to help people. I want to work on things that help people. It sounds so ridiculous. I want to work in movies because I want to help people. But in my head, I thought, we all need a distraction when we're sad. And when people are happy or they're celebrating, movies are a part of that. Like going and seeing a movie is a part of it.
Yeah.
They're part of some of the best memories of all of our lives.
Yeah.
Individually. So that's why Doc Hollywood's special, man.
Yeah. I love hearing you say all this because it's so spot on to why this podcast was like started and came about, and I love that part of it. And damn it, I forgot where I was going, but I'm going somewhere. Hold on, give me a sec. I'll edit this up.
So Glenn, did you get any late fees? Did you hold on to the movie?
No.
Like, did you hold on to for like a week? Did you get late fees when?
No. But Bill, it's funny you asked that because wow, it's funny you asked that because I do remember considering like keeping it.
Yeah.
I was aware that this was a revelation, and I remember, kind of going, all right, well, they sell these things
for $100.
My God, it's crazy back then. Yeah.
But they sell them after they've been viewed to the point where they're like, really thin and they're all screwed up and there's parts of the movie that are fuzzy. So I thought, well, I'll buy this. This is going to be a part of my collection. And then as I'm about to put it in a little return deal, I was like, oh, but it won't be this one. So I did have that moment. I swear I had that moment.
That's where I was going earlier, Glenn. It's this thing, your first breakup, right? Like I still remember mine vividly. Yeah. I think, and that's something we all do. So I think that's for you to see this movie in that space where it's so painful, it's so crushing. It's this pain you've never felt before, and it's the worst pain you've ever felt. You want to change, you want to stop, you want to just anything to stop hurting. And for something like this, a movie to come in and to put that on pause and take you someplace when like you were so ready to feel the power of a movie. And I think that is such a monumental time to see something. That's the type of thing that ingrains, like songs or movies onto the soundtrack of our lives, or like, the marquee of our lives, where all the movies that just like hit us and change us, because it's so hard to pick one. But I think it's super fascinating that, I don't know, at this time of loss, this gave you such clarity.
Well, yeah, and it's why I never changed the answer, because people have asked a variation of the question this show kind of asks or presents to you. Hey, what was a movie that maybe inspired you or whatever? And I could name 100 cooler ones, but I know when I answer this question, whenever I've answered it, that people know I'm being 100% honest. I'm not fronting. I'm not looking at the AFI top 100 and picking ones that I think make me sound smarter. No, it's very, very, very real. And it doesn't have to be a great film. It doesn't even have to be a good film. And I'm not talking about Doc Hollywood, but you guys said it in your opening, and I love that you say that. It's not necessarily about its greatness, but it's about its ability to connect in certain ways. And not all movies connect with all people, and movies connect with some for different reasons, or everyone different reasons. And this one was because of heartache. So it holds a sweet special place, as does Michael J. Fox in my heart, in my soul. Really.
Oh yeah.
It's a very well done movie. Michael Caine Jones was a weird choice. He was coming off Scandal and Memphis Belle. And the people that wrote it, they wrote Roger Rabbit. So everyone thinks it's like a slight type of movie, but I think it's a masterpiece. I'm with you, Yeah. And it's held up after all these years, It seems timeless to me,
Yeah, I love it.
Fires is great in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's in it. Great.
Yeah,
there's the song in the beginning is terrible though.
Oh my God! When I watched that, I was like, oh my God, remember when movies used to have terrible, cheesy original songs that they wrote just for the movie, so they have to pay for the rights for the pop song?
Yeah.
Then The Crow changed it all, and like it came out with that first amazing like movie soundtrack.
STP,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god, every song's a hit. It's like a greatest hits album.
Do not besmirch the great Chesney Hawks and I Am the One and Only.
I am.
You know what's funny is that I was watching it.
only.
My girlfriend Crystal was like, she's like, "Oh, I know this song. This is a great song. I love this song." And I was
Yeah.
like, "This isn't a song." She's like, "Yeah, it is. It's just sung by someone else." I'm like, and then she pulled it up. I was like, "Oh my god, how do you know that this is a song?"
Yeah. It's a sweet song. Look, I think that movie is timeless because I'm going to say something that can, on the surface and at first blush, sound ridiculous, but it has some of the same characteristics of It's a Wonderful Life.
It does.
It's a small, sweet little town,
Yep.
quirky group of people.
Yep.
You know, it's like when he is standing outside when he walks outside the doctor's office and the whole town is there and they've got his bags packed and the cop car is going to deliver him to the airport. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. You feel for him. You're kind of like, how could you walk away from this?
Yeah.
How could, like, this is such a perfect place. And then they do the great job with the transition to LA with the cab driver crying and the music from India playing and all the noise and all of, like, it's an incredibly well done contrast, you know, to like what you just left is so down home, kind of wholesome and sweet and honest. And where you are, you know, where it goes in LA is like, oh boy, but please don't stay there. That's where Woody Harrelson should be. By the way, great joke in the movie. And it happens off camera. I don't know if you guys caught it. When Woody Harrelson and Bridget Fonda are in LA.
Yeah.
They're in that time.
Yeah.
In the background. So I don't know if they're on Michael J. Fox, but you hear Bridget Fonda say, "Oh, look, who is that? Is that a movie star?" And Woody Harrelson says, "No, it's Ted Danson."
I saw that. I love that. Yeah, Woody goes, "No, that's just Ted Danson." I was like, "Oh my
So
god,
good.
it's the best, like off the cuff, like inside joke ever." It was so good.
That was at the height of
I
Cheers.
loved it too.
Cheers was
Yeah,
giant.
that was at the height of Cheers. I remember Woody Harrelson came and spoke at Emerson shortly after this movie, and it was great. He was in town filming, and he talks about it. It was really awesome. And I think it's interesting that you saw this at this point in life, right? So it makes you know that you want to, because the themes are really subtle. Like you don't go into that thinking that this is going to make me evaluate my idea of wealth.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was something that didn't come until much later in life where my perception of what wealth is and what being wealthy is and having a rich life versus the things that, you know, we all think we want. And it totally went over my head the first time I saw it, but watching it now, I was like, why would you ever go to that place? Like, sure, it sounds great on paper. And when you say it, like lots of money, house on the beach, this, that, but it's like understanding, like in It's a Wonderful Life, like the importance of these things, these connections, these meaningful moments that we can share with one another, like we're doing now, that can like really show you that, you know, sometimes what you have and what's right there it's such a blessing. You need to appreciate it, you know, and sometimes you need to leave that to understand that. But it's a really powerful thing that I didn't expect to see in a rom-com.
Yeah, look, it's like scenery in your neighborhood, man. I've done Yellowstone in Montana. I remember when I first moved out here to Ventura. I lived in Ventura at first because some friends lived here, and I remember I bought a Suzuki Samurai. You know, and that's for like $3,000. But I remember getting on the freeway, and the beach is right there, and these giant mountains that didn't exist in New Jersey, and I felt, whoa. I feel like I'm in kind of Hawaii or something. I'm in a tropical paradise.
Yep.
And now I see it, but, you know, I'm so used to it, you know, and that's the thing is sometimes the stuff of the most value is right in front of your face and you just become a little numb to it. You know, you get a little too used to it. And I think the idea of losing it, I think we all have to be confronted at times in our lives with losing something to realize how valuable it is to us, how much it means.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I really loved what the writers did to pick things that made you connect to the moments that were the most real and what felt, saccharine or false. It wasn't things that you were like, well, only if you're from there would you were like, they picked so many great universal things that really could reach a bunch of different people, and great examples that, had many different layers. And I love that they talked about the layers in that, the layers of a small town, the layers of a person, like all these things that when I saw it were lost on me.
It could have been a
I was a dumb 19-year-old boy. I had no idea. But now that we're talking about it, I realized that I was going through, we were going through similar things at that age. And when something like this happened.
It could have been a sitcom, but it's not a sitcom. And I think that's why it didn't do that well. It's not a sitcom. It's a very deep movie. But I want to bring up the point that it's kind of funny that the movie about a guy that quits LA made you move to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he thought he was supposed to be, not where he was supposed to be. But for Glenn, it was the reverse.
Yeah, look,
he realized he wasn't where he was supposed to be.
New York was right there. New York was everything. Yeah. New York was excitement. It was adrenaline. It was, anything could happen at any point. It's an exciting place. LA, always the perception, and hasn't changed, is a little soulless. It's transient. People, Angelinos, they get it, but there are so few.
Unless you're an Angelino, most people outside, they have no concept of what it really is. They only know what the media's version of it is.
Yeah. And for me, it was like, if I have to go to LA to try to tell that kind of, like, maybe one day tell that kind of story or something similar. Look, all the original ideas are gone, right? So this is, one could say it's derivative when it comes to It's a Wonderful Life, certainly. It has some of the same elements, and maybe there was some inspiration that the writers took from It's a Wonderful Life. But you can tell that kind of story about the important things in life 50 different ways. But simplicity is the key. People understand that. You connect with neighborly. We packed you a lunch. Like when he opens up that cabinet, the doctor, and says, I delivered 700 babies. Like,
oh my God, right? In this town, right?
Yeah.
But you don't see an insert of the shot. It was beautifully done by Michael Keaton Jones. Like any other sitcom, like they would show like the actual pictures. You could only infer by what he's showing. How old were you when you moved to LA?
20.
Wow.
So shortly after this, you got up and went. So that was this after college, in lieu of college?
In lieu of college, I moved out to Ventura because I had some friends who I was actually best friends with this family, the Gardners. There was, let's see if I get this right. There was Dan, Don, Doug, Dean, and Duffy Gardner. And I was great friends with this family. They're wonderful people, incredible people. And Duffy and Dan were out in Ventura in LA. Dan was a model, a really handsome guy.
So was I.
Yes. And it's me too.
Yeah.
So we all
That's why Bill likes his head up here.
Yes.
I need more face. I need more.
Hey, Mickey, Bill, my eyes are
Mickey,
up here,
Mickey, make sure your computer's plugged in. Just go look to the side.
So I moved out here to figure it out. And I went to Ventura College. I started working at a Wilson's Leather. I was a manager at a Wilson's Leather in Ventura and at Palace Oaks. I rotated some stores.
Yeah.
And then so it was to like, hey, I want to do that. It was not to come out here to go to college. I had no plan other than unpacking all of my clothes. I have I sold my car. I have $3,500 to buy a car, and that's all the money with me. This is 92. And my dad bought me a plane ticket. My parents hated seeing me go, but he's like, look, the return flight is open-ended in case you change your mind or you get there and you think you're going to back out. Pride would never allow that. And plus, I really did want to do this. And I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. But I immediately thought, well, school, I was out here for, I think, I don't know, 6 months before I forged at Wilson's. I forged a bunch of UPS because we shipped boxes and stuff between stores. I forged a bunch of UPS receipts and backdated them and brought them to the college and went to Ventura College as a resident of California because I was able to, lie like a dirty rat.
That's very David Geffen-ish.
What's that?
Very David Geffen-ish.
Yes, thank you. But I thought I wanted to get into college because I thought, all right, if I go to this 2-year college and I do well in this 2-year college, I can transfer, within the UC system to like UCLA. Mm-hmm. I could maybe go, major in film or something. That was the plan. So I got my associate's degree and I was managing a Wilson's. I may be getting ahead of stuff. I don't know how far you want to ramble ahead.
Well, yeah, that's I think hearing how the catalyst that has now, this is the new trajectory that you're on, right? Yeah. This trajectory that is taking you to Ventura and now to school for something that I'm sure when you saw the movie, you weren't planning on and didn't even know existed or that it was possible for you to do. So, so what was life if you stayed in Jersey, what do you think would have happened? But then explain what happened when you got to
Boy, you know what? I know what would have happened. My best friend at the time, who I had gone to school with my whole life, I thought like I mentioned lawyer, all that stuff, but the schooling really, it wasn't realistic, but the idea of arguing and building a case and the performance in a courtroom, that intrigued me. But I knew I didn't have the smarts for it. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. But my friend, I thought, well, maybe I'll be a police officer.
Oh wow!
And my best friend, Kevin Craig, he rolled by my house around the time when I decided that I was leaving, and I was saving money and working towards leaving. And he's like, hey, he rode up on his motorcycle and was like, hey man, I'm going to enroll in the Jefferson Township. I'm gonna be a cop. I want to go into the academy. Come with me. We've talked about this. Let's go. So I did have a moment where I was like, 20 years old, you put in 25 years, you're only 45. Right. And you get a full pension. You could put in 30 years and be 50, still be young enough. You go work for the state. You could pull a couple of pensions, for the love of God, and have a really good life. But I had gone to broadcasting school as well. Connecticut School of Broadcasting I went to.
That's where Artie Lang went.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So did you hear about it on Stern? Is that why you went? Because they used to promote on Stern all the time.
I had heard about it, but I wanted to be involved in, Doc Hollywood made me kind of start searching. I want to do that. So I figured, maybe I can acquire skill sets before I head out to California, radio, producing, editing, commercials, writing them. So I started, I kind of went there. My dad is looking at me like, what? He's a banker. He was an international banker. My family, very professional, very, we were middle class, but, they worked in banking. My brother worked on Wall Street, so broadcasting school. All right, let's let the kid get it out of his system type of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I was trying to accumulate a particular set of skills that
Liam Neeson.
I could maybe utilize, would help me. I went to bartending school in Manhattan before I moved out here. So I had a bunch of things that I was kind of like, all right, I want to know a little bit about this, a little bit about this, a little bit about this. So when I come out to California, maybe there's options for me. I don't even know what I'm going to go out to.
Yeah.
Right. Smart.
But if I had stayed, I would have been a cop. I 100%.
Wow.
And my friend went on to be the chief of police of that township.
Wow.
Yeah. And retired, I don't know, 10 years ago. And worked for, I think he now works for the New Jersey Parks commission, and he's like a bigwig there. So he's doing exactly what I thought could be cool. Like drawing a pension, retiring with, full benefits, and then starting a second career in the parks. Like his family is going to be very well taken care of. He's done a great job.
But he didn't see Doc Hollywood.
He didn't.
He did. That would not have happened for him.
If he did, he may have beaten me over the head with the hard Blockbuster case. Going, what are we watching?
All right. Wow. So that was where it could have led you had this moment not, this epiphany or paradigm shift hadn't like struck. So now tell us, where has it led you? You seem to like, you have Cousin Eddie on the wall behind you, like life is good. Like, tell us how from that moment of like packing up and getting to Ventura, how it's led you to where you are today and how it changed your priorities now.
I mean, like I said, I thought school was the way. The more maybe educated I was, I thought maybe the better my chances. But who the hell knows? Like it's such a naive. I mean, like of course, school is the way to go. I'm not saying anything negative about school, but the idea that if I went to UCLA Film School, like thousands and tens of thousands of kids before me, and that's somehow going to lead me to the film industry is almost absurd, unless I am a genius, and I know I'm not a genius. So, I kind of know what I'm working with and knew what I was working with here. More passion and willingness to work hard than, maybe talent. I don't know. But having said that, you hire holiday help at Wilson's for Christmas. So we had hired a bunch of people, to work the Christmas hours and, from Thanksgiving on. And one of them was this guy named Pat Towner. And Pat and I talked about movies all the time. He loved movies, and he's a really good dude. And, we got along, and, I liked him a lot, but we would talk about movies all the time. And, when I had to let him go, I remember I was bummed because he was temp help, but it's like, hey, keep in touch, stop in, he's from Ventura. And he called me in like, I don't know, March or April. I was in Thousand Oaks at that store. And he called me. He's like, hey, Glenn, Pat Towner. I said, hey, Pat, what's going on? And he's like, look, I'm working on this movie. I said, oh, you're kidding. That's awesome. He's like, yeah. And we need someone. We need a PA.
Oh, wow.
And, look, man, it's going to be like 3 months worth of work and you're on your own. There's no benefits. There's no nothing. I had full benefits at Wilson's. I was going to go to UCLA. Like I had a plan, and I'm like, But he's like, I said, well, tell me, what is this movie? He's like, oh, it's like a kind of a B science fiction movie. And I said, well, okay, who's in it? And he's like, the Fresh Prince, because that's who he was. Will Smith was the Fresh Prince. He wasn't a movie star at all. Yeah. He had done that one movie before, which was a serious film. I forget the name of it.
6 Degrees of Separation.
Oh yeah,
yeah. 6 Degrees of Separation and Made in America.
Is this okay? Was this Independence Day?
Mickey, spoiler alert! Let him say
it. No. Of course. Well, what other sci-fi movie is Will Smith in other than Men in Black? But that was later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the Fresh Prince, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, anyone else? Because I thought, okay, well, it's a B movie. Am I going to leave all this for a B movie? Independence Day was not anticipated to be what it became. Yeah. Like anyone who tells you it was, other than Roland Emmerich, is full of shit.
That.
Yes, thank you. It's a hit. So I decided to go, and on that movie, I worked visual effects and pyro miniatures, and I bought groceries. We shot over at the Hughes Hangars, where there's now a whole apartment complex in Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey. Yeah. There's a whole Home Depot. There's everything there. This was right around the time that SKG had a groundbreaking there. Spielberg and them helicoptered in, Geffen and Katzenberg, they helicoptered in and had a groundbreaking because they were going to build SKG studios there, right there in the Hughes hangars. So this is like Howard Hughes territory, man. So I'm buying groceries. I'm sweeping the floor. what I was a part of was the motion control and pyro unit. Motion control, of course, are the cameras on the, kind of train tracks, and they move incrementally slightly. Sometimes we had 5-hour passes where you're at action and you're in a dark, tented out place at a maquette. The spaceship is on a C-stand arm, and the camera is just over the course of like 5 hours, just slowly moving towards it. And then when you ramp that up, the ship. So these guys, Doug Smith had done Star Wars. And Joe Viscosal was the pyro guy on it, special effects pyro. And Joe blew up the Death Star. So now, and Joe is always listening to Sinatra in his trailer. And I'm a big Sinatra guy. So I would go around and ask before I went to Trader Joe's or before I went to Pavilions or whatever. I would go around to all the guys with a notepad. I go, hey, I'm going shopping. Is there anything you want? Do you like, Yeah. And I would they'd say, oh, I like Oreos, or I like this. Oh, get this, get this. So I would do that. So the guys liked me because I asked them what they wanted. And I always swept the floor, and I didn't bitch. And I didn't think I should be someone who I wasn't. I deserve to be sweeping the floors and learning what.
He's excited to sweep the floors.
Yeah. Grateful to be there.
The floors where they're making a movie.
Even though I don't know what it's going to be.
Especially that age, you're like, oh my God, it's amazing.
When I watched them blow up the White House, I have a piece of it to this day.
Oh my God.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
How did you feel when Robert Altman criticized it after 9/11? Remember, he said that he goes, because of Independence Day, that's why the World Trade Center got bombed. I was like, oh my God. Utterly ridiculous.
Bill, I would have to jump around. Ask me that question. We get down the line a little bit more because I have something very specific to 9/11 and a film that I was involved with, and it's a good story. It's a really good story.
So you're the rock star PA on this film, and how is this like you? I mean, this is another huge move that you made. You not just the move from where you were to California, but now you're walking away from the things that we're programmed to think are what we want to do, right?
Yep.
Like have that job, go to school, do this, I got the benefits, and you walked away into the unknown. So that's another big step that probably also
scary as hell.
The trajectory.
It was. I was terrified. That I was going to lose everything and be forced to go back to New Jersey if this didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that, but I was afraid, man, that where am I going to get my next job? I don't know anybody. But lo and behold, someone's looking out for me, right?
Yeah.
Joe Viscosal and that team wins the Academy Award for visual effects.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And
did they have to do a bunch of reshoots after, like when they realized it was going to be big? Did they go back and redo some stuff, or okay?
No.
All right.
No,
they won the
Academy Award. It was amazing, dude. It was like.
So did you get to go? Were you there, or did you see the statue? Like, what happened?
No. I saw
for visual effects.
Oh, maybe they had an Oscar party and the whole company got to go.
No. I've been really blessed and really lucky. So they win the Oscar, and seeing them on TV was great because they're terrific guys. Joe Viscosal, Emmett Kane, Mickey Duff, Kyle Collinsworth, Joe Heffernan. These are guys I remember. I'll never forget their names because they said that they went on to do their next movie was Volcano with Anne Heche and Tommy Lee Jones. And we had the former Buffy the Vampire Slayer, sorry, there's a fly in here, stages in near Lantana on Olympic.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, it's where I forget what's there. There's some building there, but it was where they shot Buffy. And we had like 4 stages. It was a big warehouse that we turned into like 6 stages. And they were lava stages. So we had gimbals, giant tables that, would kind of move. And they did scale replicas in plexiglass of Wilshire Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset. And they had this I forget what the hell it was, this goo. And they would mix fluorescent orange paint into it and stir it. And they had painters with paint guns who would shoot black paint on it and with their cloths kind of dab at it, and it would look like the crust on lava, and they would put that behind a gate, and then the table moving, we would call action, and the camera overhead would be, kind of looking at, or like this, or from the side, whatever. And we would pull the gate and the table would slightly move, and that lava would kind of run down. So resets were a bitch. You had to clean everything up, and so resets. So anyway, we had this going on, and there were like 6 stages. There was a lot of lava work, and we also had a tank, a giant tank filled with water, with these paint spouts and gray paint and black paint. We would shoot through, and that was the smoke. And the way it moved in the water was like magical. So we had cameras in there looking at it. So that's how we created the smoke. So there was a lot of stuff going on, which meant a lot of management, time management. So I went from sweeping floors and asking people what they wanted from Trader Joe's to Joe Viscoso and his team. These guys going, there was a guy named Pete Novich too. Pete Novich, I left his name off that list from Independence Day. Pete Novich was the visual effects AD, and there's no such thing. But we had so much going on, we had to make our days, that he functioned as an AD to keep us on time, on schedule, and to help schedule out what we were doing when with the VFX artists. So he's like, I can't run 6 stages. And Joe and his guys were like, well, what about Glenn? Why don't you take him under your wing, and he can take can you do 4 stages and he can do 2?
Right.
Sometimes he can do 3 if it's a big setup. You guys can. And Pete, God bless him, said, sure, he liked me. He's like, yeah. So I went from that to now kind of sort of, not real AD work, but helping maintain the schedule of the special effects, visual effects artists on this massive volcano shoot.
Wow.
I don't think the movie's bad.
That is a huge elevation in responsibility.
Huge.
I love it.
Huge. Yeah.
Only in Hollywood can those kind of hustle and smile will get you everywhere.
Well, look, but for the grace and goodwill and generosity of outstanding people, who are very generous, I wouldn't be doing this
in Hollywood.
I don't think I did anything except I shut up. I knew when to shut up, and they kind of went, and I also knew that I wasn't entitled to anything.
Totally.
Do you like the movie? I don't think it's a bad movie.
It's ridiculous, but of course I worked on it. It's a very, these are like home movies in a sense. When I see the lava, I remember where I was, and
so many.
So they're very personal.
Yeah. It's amazing that you still have that connection, that personal connection to these movies when this all started because of that deep personal connection that you had to the first one.
Well, I don't take them lightly, and those guys, I went on a roll with those guys, with Viscoso and them, and I did Godzilla next. Wow. And I don't even know if I have a credit on that. I don't think I do. I'm not sure. I haven't looked, but I did the beginning of Godzilla where the tail hits the tanker.
Oh,
we
wow.
did that whole in the Titanic tank, like in Santa Clarita,
so
up
cool.
there.
Right.
And then I did Starship Troopers.
Great movie.
Great movie. Yeah, so I was able to kind of move forward with these guys. They were great. Inspector Gadget, they just kept pulling me. Oh, brother, where art thou? They kept pulling me to do stuff with them, to help run the special effects office at one point. So I was in the office ordering their materials. I would go do pickups. They need an extra steering wheel for the Gadget Mobile, or they need, whatever gear. I would get in my car and be like, all right, I'll see you guys. And, I would drive all over LA in traffic and be gone for 3.5 hours listening to sports radio. It was awesome. It was so great. And then come back to a set where, the Gadget car's driving around by itself, so to speak. The guy's under the hood, and he's looking through the vent. So those guys are the reason why.
So what's the 9/11 story you want to share?
So, I was working on 13 Days. That's where I met Costner.
Yeah.
Love that.
One of the guys.
Love.
It's a great movie, man.
Great movie. I love historical things, that history on that. Oh, yeah. It's really great. Thank you.
Bruce Greenwood and Stephen Culp are remarkable as Jack and Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Really
remarkable.
Remarkable.
Yeah. The producer on that, Army Bernstein, again, I was hired. This was different. I was hired to assist the producers, and there were a bunch of them. And the ADs were like, we can't handle these guys, so we need someone specific dedicated to them.
Yeah.
And so I started working for Army Bernstein, and Army very quickly said, "Who are you? You know what? Here, call this person at my company and tell them to hire you." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "You kind of know you're not." He said, "You're not entitled." You know, every person I've ever had around me, assistant wise, when I have meetings with Kevin, or when I have meetings with Roger Donaldson or Roger Deakins, you know, these are big names. You know, they sit in the room with me. They feel like they're entitled to. You always leave the room. He's like, and I like that. He's like, you get it. He's like, so I want you to come work for me, and you're going to assist the head of development there. And I'm like, but I don't know how to work a computer. I don't know how to roll calls. I don't know how. He's like, you'll learn. So getting to answer your question, Bill, that was just a preamble to, I'm at Beacon Pictures now. And one of the films we did was Spy Game. Tony Scott, Spy Game.
Great movie.
And Zach Merck and I should have met way back then, but we didn't.
That's when you met? Oh yeah, when he was Tony's assistant.
I didn't meet him. I can't believe it. And all these years later, we're working together, and we exchanged notes on, remember this, remember that. But Spy Game, 9/11 occurs, and there is a suicide bomber scene in Spy Game.
Oh wow!
And it's where a guy drives into a hotel, underground, boom, and blows it up. And it was all hands on deck. Now I'm working directly for Army. All hands on deck at Universal, and I'm talking Stacy Snyder, I think Scott Stuber, Mary Parent, and Ron Meyer wasn't there. Tony Scott, Doug Wick, Army, Charlie, like titans in the industry. And they're all there. Basically, we're going to watch the movie. And guys, do we need to pull this out? Like, people are really traumatized and triggered. And we're opening this movie, and we're going to have a suicide bomber scene in it. Like, and I got to say, Zach and I have talked about this many, many times. God rest his soul, Tony Scott, in his kind of fishing vest or whatever the hell that thing is, and that hat and his shorts, and Tony Scott's there, and he basically, you know, defends, like, we can't be reactionary. You know, this film is going to live forever. It's going to live well past the memories and trauma of 9/11 for the most part. You know, for people who weren't directly affected or lost someone and changed the trajectory of their family tree, like, but for the general public and public consumption, we should not go anticipating reaction and re-editing our film because we think it might upset someone. So, you know what? To Stacy Snyder and Mary Parent, Scott Stuber, incredible legendary executives, it's still to this day, working and doing great work. They supported Tony in that. We didn't edit the movie. You know, so you know, watching a film like that with all those people in that room, how's Doc Hollywood? You know,
in it back.
I go back to Doc Hollywood and I go, oh my God, if I hadn't, here I am. Maybe I'm out here a month later. Maybe I'm out here a year later if I don't see that movie when I see it. And maybe I'm never in this room. Maybe I never had this experience of watching really serious executives and a really serious artist debate the merits of keeping a potentially upsetting, triggering scene in a film and not being reactionary, protecting the art, protecting the vision. It was amazing to be a part of that, to just listen. Give me a break. Like, unbelievable. So when you asked that question earlier, Bill, you know, about, you know, Independence Day and Robert Altman, and like, I don't even know. I just know that I listen to real people talk about something that's directly related to that, real artists, and debate the merits of change or not. And they made the right decision. They did. God bless them. They did.
It's amazing that those conversations, you know, how movies become movies is not by accident. It's by design. And all these reactions and feelings that we're having to the movies that we're talking about, Doc Hollywood, or, you know, this story of Spy Game, which is incredible. each of these decisions behind the scenes of the storytellers is by design to create something impactful for you in one way or another. And it just goes, Doc Hollywood was no accident. Yes, sure, you were in a heartbreak. There was a big moment of your life happening at a certain age, but the movie brought those things out by design. And it's incredible to hear, even in the story, that you, years later, in this incredible situation, after so many events kept bringing you forward here, are there and see the inception moment of like how movies impact us, the decisions have made, and you're sitting there as living proof of the result of it.
I am living lucky proof, and I want to say something here, really, because this is important. This is probably the most important thing I'll say, and I don't usually say many important things, but we have no movies without the written word and the script, and there's so many. I'm sure there were so many notes on that Doc Hollywood script, and I'm sure even when they were shooting and looking at dailies, well, this isn't. Where does this movie fall? Is it a sitcom? Like what is it? I don't quite. I could see executives questioning, like, what is this? I don't know if it's going to work. Maybe it needs to be funnier. Maybe you need to take some of the wholesome out. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe the other thing. And however it worked out, I feel like the written word was protected. And as a producer now, I think it's really important personally for me to protect and empower further the writers, because too often writers sell their scripts and then it's like, you're not welcome on the set. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want your input. It's now the director's movie. And that bothers me to my core. It really does.
It really does.
It does, because the writer wrote this for a reason, maybe wrote this line for a reason. And maybe the actor could question, hey, why don't I say something different? To have the writer there to say, okay, you can, but can we get one this way? Or this is why I wrote that line. Because there's so many forces pulling that I've learned. And maybe if certain forces had pulled a different way on Doc Hollywood, it doesn't have that. This is almost silly, me saying this, but Doc Hollywood, maybe it, I don't know. Maybe it's not the same movie. And maybe I don't come out here when I do, or I never do. I don't know. But that's my
bad movies. You don't get swept up in them sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, that hour and a half of like peace and, not feeling the pain in that might have happened had it been a bad movie. You might have just turned it off and walked away and wallowed in your pain.
Or maybe it spoke subliminally to me because it's kind of wholesome and sweet and probably has more in common with Little House on the Prairie. You know what I mean? Like kind of a nice movie. It's a nice film.
It is. It really is.
So it's wholesome in a way. And Michael J. Fox is at his most Michael J. Foxy. Like even when he's bad, it's great.
It's great. So if anyone was to watch, like, to see this, and they're like, what, I gotta check out Doc Hollywood again, what do you hope that they're gonna take away from it? Besides
a couple of things. Number one, we need more movies that have kind of messages like this, especially in today's world. No, I'm not a big preacher, but look, we're divided on the surface, or so we're told. But really, movies like this show us what's important. What we should really value. It could be a nice example or a nice reminder. So I feel like more movies like this are that's a good thing. So I hope they take that, and I hope they also understand, while it's not awards worthy by any stretch, Michael J. Fox was great, and he was incredibly watchable. And what has befallen him is tragic, because what he could have done more, we'll never know. But even the little things, even the kind of saccharine, Doc Hollywood type of, he made watchable because he was charming and likable, and he was good. He had moments of being really great. My mom always said, I hope they do a James Cagney biopic and Michael J. Fox plays him. My mom used to say that growing up. Yeah. She's like, he would be a great James Cagney, she would say to me. I'm like, you're not wrong. But I hope people see this and remember how great he was outside of iconic movies like Back to the Future or The Hard Way.
Mm-hmm. And
love it.
The documentary still about him. I think I remember him saying that it was during this time where he started to notice it.
Yeah,
for the first time, he's like, I was out partying with Woody Harrelson again. And I was like, why am he was like, what is this? It was a really powerful moment, and that hit me while I was watching this. And I also think he was amazing because at the beginning, I was like, I don't remember him being such a dick or dislike. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell, like, his focus was in the wrong spot. His heart was in the wrong spot. He felt not good or, centered. And his evolution, however subtle, it took you with him into what was important.
And it's believable. It's not fake.
Charming Michael J. Fox. You're like, well, of course he's making the right decision. This is what you want. Like, this is going to be great, He turned out to be so much more lovable than he led on to be at the beginning.
When he's leaving, right? At the beginning, when he's leaving and they have the cake that is the boobs.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't realize how.
But his all of the doctors are like, he's like, hey, let's go out afterwards, and none of them want to go out with him.
Yeah, none of them like him. Yeah.
So it's a subtle setup for what he's about to enter in this place where it's like, yeah, you can have all the money, you can have the cars, you can have the penthouse with the beautiful view at night. You can have the smoking hot receptionist who's really sexy and has had work done and whatever. You can have all that, but do you want that? And that's what the movie does, and it kind of sets it up in a subtle way, Really the gal in it, what is her name again?
Fielding Warner.
Boy, she was just like, she's like a slice of apple pie. She was perfectly cast, beautiful, not too beautiful, like just girl next door, perfect. They nailed it.
It was perfectly cast. Yeah. All the town folk were so lovable and sweet and wonderful.
The bad guy.
He made him earn it. I love that crotchety old doctor made him earn it.
Spoiler alert.
It's 91. I think we're past the statute of limitations.
I think so too.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Do you have anything to promote, Glenn?
We changed the title and Out Come the Wolves to And Out Comes the Wolf.
Okay.
And we don't have a release date, but we've got an Instagram, and Out Comes the Wolf movie. Follow us. We're doing some fun stuff, and it's a fun movie. Again, I've worked on some great ones. I've worked on some watchable ones, and this one falls in the the kind of category of like just fun and watchable. We're not trying to change the world. We're just trying to distract you for an hour and a half. And hopefully you have some fun with us. That's what it's all about. This particular film. So that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me on. You guys are great. This was fun, man.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Well, I really hope that these movies that you're putting out have somehow reached another Glenn who needed that thing in that moment at that time, and it hit home and landed, and they got the same, power and beauty out of it that you did.
That would be the best.
Right?
That would really be the best. I hope so too.
I mean, if we're writing a story, that's how it should end.
Yeah, that I'm associated with something that made a person go, oh, I want to do that. Yeah, man. That would be the greatest. That would be the greatest reward ever, really.
Awesome.
Glenn, it's been awesome talking to you, man. We could have kept talking for hours, I'm sure, but thank you so much for your time and sharing so much of yourself with us, and how this movie changed your life, and why we all love movies. It's so great. Thank you,
guys. Please, thank you for having me. Please keep doing this. Please keep doing it, because everyone's got a story, and I think people's stories are important, especially when it comes to what we all love, which are movies. And I think sharing that kind of personal connection is important. You guys are doing great, and I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to the next episode.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, boys.
Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Later.